No, I think there's a big apocalypse for streaming that's already been taking place and that will continue to take place. There's too many. And, you know, the comedian Jim Gaffigan had something I saw a few years ago on CBS Sunday Morning where he said, why don't they just take all the streaming channels, all the streaming networks, all the streaming platforms, and put them together, and we can call it cable television? Because it would be easier that way. But no, I think actually, for everyone I thought a la carte was the future and just everyone will subscribe to whatever they want. In a certain respect, it is, but actually, I think it's the opposite now. I think people don't want to subscribe to all these things. I think the subscription model is kind of a broken model in a lot of ways, and I think the true test is put everything out there for free and let it be advertiser supported and give the content to the people for free, and let's see how it works.
Well, at some point, also, how even if you're interested in something with so many different things, streaming services or ways to see something, how hard do you have to work to find something to watch that you want to watch, or that you might want to watch if you knew it was on? Or, yeah, you'd like to watch that, but goddamn, the kids are out of school this week. I don't have time to fucking chase this down. Or you don't want to subscribe to something that's going to be an automatic renewal on an ongoing basis just to watch one thing one time, and then you'll have to fucking go back and cancel it or what. It's just, you used to be able to turn the goddamn television on, change the channels, however many there were, whether it be broadcast or then later cable, still you change your channels, and you either had a TV guide in your hand or there's a guide on the screen that can help you figure it out, and it wasn't that fucking difficult. And now you got shit coming at you from everywhere. And, Dan's Discount Upholstery and fucking Regional Sports Network is streaming you the best of, lesbian cribbage. I don't,
The problem is, there's all these streaming networks and, Paramount Plus, let's say. I think so far they've had 2 original programs that I've been interested in. One of them I loved. One of them I haven't watched yet. That's 2 that I know of that I'm interested in. Really don't give a shit about everything else on there because I have access to it in other places. Netflix, I'm sure there's more. But for every streaming service, there's probably a couple things people want to see. The question is, do they actually want to pay anywhere between $5 and $12 a month to see one show once?
Well, and we've got Stace has the streaming hooked up to the TV in the bedroom as well as our cable TV, but our cable TV also has on-demand services, right? If you just hit on-demand, there's 6 or 7 subcategories. Do you want networks? Do you want premiums? Do you want what? If you hit the networks, then it gives you every cable network or television network or history channel or fucking military warfare channel, or just everything. And you have to hit that, and then there's subcategories. It will take you longer if you just start from scratch. Boy, I'd like to find something to watch on TV to go through all these things than it would to actually watch the fucking movie or the program. Who wants to go to that much effort?
I'll tell you another thing. This is why I still buy DVDs or Blu-rays of the things I really care about. I have a box set, for instance, of The Fugitive. The Fugitive's on MeTV 2 a.m. Sunday night.
Yes.
Can't buy it on any Apple streaming service. I say buy. Can't buy it or rent it on any Apple service, or it's not available, I don't believe, on Netflix or anything else. So I have it here. So if it ever goes away, I make sure I can watch it again. WWE, from what I understand, just pulled down a bunch of indie content. May not matter to you and me, but it's content that someone cared about, someone thought would always be there, and now it's gone. That's what I always worry about with these streaming services.
The vintage stuff also that they were putting on the network, all that didn't migrate over. And plus, as we've talked about, the WWE, the libraries they've bought, has multiple times more old territory footage that you haven't seen that's in the vault than they've ever put out anywhere to begin with. So again, that's why us collectors and our VHSs and betas and DVDs and whatever, I've got more classic wrestling content in the vault on tape than you can find on the WWE network and or any of the other streaming services put together, because I got it at the time. But, some of that stuff it won't necessarily be lost. It'll be in the WWE archive. You'll have to get a job there to ever see it.
And then if you see it, they may change the music, they may change the audio, they may change the commentary, they may edit things out. The other day we did the watch along, and this was interesting because originally we were hoping that people would have the option of watching on Peacock or YouTube. You don't even know this. Had to make some edits right before we went to air. It turns out that shortly after Hulk Hogan enters the Royal Rumble, there are a series of edits on YouTube of Hulk Hogan choking his opponent, of Roddy Piper putting, I believe, a shirt around an opponent's throat. So they shave off a few seconds here, and that screwed up the sync. So we made it so that it's only in sync with Peacock, which is what you were watching, because otherwise it wouldn't have worked. But there's an example of something that happened, took place, historical event, 92 Royal Rumble. They've made several changes in the most widely free available version of the show.
Oh,
and I saw HBO Max just pulled down a bunch of Looney Tunes, like classic Looney Tunes from, I forget what it was. It wasn't the first batch, but like the second, great run of the show. The second great run of the cartoons, they pulled them all down. So
for what?
They didn't see, I guess, an audience that justified the expense of keeping it up. And that's what you have to worry about with these streaming services. They decide what's there, when it's there, and when they're going to pull it. Them or their partner decide that. So if you're someone, again, I got the Mr. Ed box set, I got the Fugitive box set, I bought a few recently. Just want to make sure I always have access to these shows because you can't trust any of these services. We don't even know if any of these services are going to be here in a few years.
I have the 6 VHS greatest Looney Tunes hits set, but I don't have anything on DVD yet.
What do you have? You have a VHS, you said?
Yeah. It's the beautiful sleeves and boxes and everything. It's six tapes on the Looney Tunes set. You got Bugs, you got Daffy, you got, various subgenres.
Hey, if I could ask you a question that's kind of related to all this, but what do you think? We're not just insulting the youth of today, as I expect you to do, but what do you think about the idea that today kids, primarily, although there are exceptions, my kids have a record collection, but kids today don't know what it's like to have a physical unit of whether it's a record or even a CD or a DVD or even a VHS, of holding packaging, of holding the artwork, of reading the liner notes, for any of these things. They don't have that experience the same way we did. Again, times change, things evolve, but what do you think about that? You're talking about the nice packaging of the Looney Tunes box set. Does a kid know what a box set is?
I'd never actually even thought of that. It was so revolutionary to me, the idea that we could, by the time that I was 20 years old, we could actually not only have videotapes that we could buy and bring to our own home and watch, but we could tape programs off television so we could actually see them after they had aired. That was so revolutionary and wonderful that I just can't imagine that anybody for the rest of their life would not want to compile as big a collection of videos on whatever format exists as possible. Because it was like, when the Wizard of Oz went from black and white to color. And then, records I grew up with because they were already a thing. But the idea that's how you got music. And honestly, I did like cassette tapes better by the time I was a teenager because you could take those in the car. But rather than buy them, I would make my own I'd buy the records because the sound quality was better. And then I'd make my own cassette tapes and I'd have both. But, the idea of not having, it goes to books too. And they've still got books, thankfully. But the idea of if you're a fan of a band, or if you like a genre of something and there's books about it, or if you're a wrestling fan, so you want tapes of the great shows, of the great matches, the idea that you wouldn't want to save that stuff in whatever format and have it physically in your house in a collection would drive me completely the fuck out of my mind.
Yeah. If you look at wrestling books, the Rocky Johnson book, the Gary Hart book, they sell for hundreds of if not thousands of dollars on eBay for a reason. They were here and then they were gone. If you got one, you were lucky. That's why if there's something I think I'm going to want to read at some point, I'll buy the book. Because I've seen too many times, especially with books, goes out of print. It's gone. There's a book that came out in 2019, a Thimble Theater collection, a collection of the pre-Popeye Thimble theaters from the 20s.
The Fleischer cartoons, right?
Well, before the Fleischers even got a hold of
Before the
Popeye.
Fleischers?
Yes, the newspaper comics by E.C. Segar.
Oh, that's right. It was Seeger, yes.
And came out in 2019. It's gone. Can't get a copy anywhere. It's not on eBay. It's not on Amazon. I lost my chance. I got to hope it gets reissued by Fantagraphics or something. So whenever I see a book I know I'm going to want at some point, I just jump on it right away because I know it'll go away. It happens.